This is video of the last time Mackenzie Lueck was seen. She was returning from California to Salt Lake City, where she was a student at the University of Utah. She texted her mother, "Landed," and "Love you, Mama." It was June 17th, 2019.
She had just arrived back from her grandmother's funeral, and she went into a park quite late in the evening. It was almost 3 a.m. to meet somebody that it is believed that she met online.
She took a Lyft ride from the airport to Hatch Park in Salt Lake City.
This park's on a main street. It's right near the police station, and so it gets a lot of attention and a lot of eyes are on this park.
But it was the middle of the night at 3 a.m. when police say the 23-year-old met Ayoola Ajayi and then went to his house. Police say Ajayi was the last person to communicate with Lueck, and cell phone records suggest he was in the area during the last time she was seen. And there was more connecting him to her disappearance.
During a search warrant on the arrested person's residence and property on June 26th, the arrested person's neighbors informed detectives that they observed him burning something in his backyard with the use of gasoline on the dates of June 17th and June 18th.
The neighbor said the smell was something she had never smelled before.
The search warrant resulted in the findings of a fresh dig area on his property, which is the same area that the arrested person was reported burning something.
The crime lab confirmed muscle tissue samples collected from the backyard belonged to Mackenzie Lueck.
A forensic excavation of the burn area was conducted, which resulted in the finding of several charred items that were consistent with personal items of Mackenzie Lueck.
Ajayi was arrested last June on charges of suspicion of aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, desecration of a human body, and obstruction of justice. 1 week after his arrest, Lueck's charred body was found by police in a shallow grave in Logan Canyon, about 85 miles north of Salt Lake City.
And with us from Salt Lake City, reporter from KSTVU, Lauren Steinbrecher. Lauren, thanks for joining us. I know you're in a car working tonight on another story. Yeah. We appreciate you taking a few moments just to talk us through this one because, boy, this is a really heartbreaking case. Let's start with where are we right now in the case?
Yeah, well, things honestly have been pretty quiet lately as, you have your court hearings going on. That's pretty much what's been happening the past year. Different types of hearings. Of course, there's been other charges that have come out since Mackenzie's death. So really, we'll go months without hearing or really seeing anything, and then suddenly something will pop up. That's kind of where things are at right now, is every once in a while. But really, we're all waiting to see where ultimately this case goes from here.
You mentioned other charges. This is relating to the defendant. Things have come up, people have come forward. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So after Mackenzie's death and after this was all unfolding, it was about a couple of months later, we had some other charges come out: possession of child pornography. So that's 19 counts of exploitation of a minor. We also had another instance that actually dated back to 2018. So before Mackenzie's death, of a woman who came forward after her death saying that she met Ajayi on a dating app and went to dinner with him, and then things got very aggressive. So he ended up being charged in that instance as well. That was kidnapping, as well as I believe that was sex abuse. And then there was an instance where he wasn't charged, but we found out later that he was a suspect in a rape in a community here in northern Utah, where the woman ultimately did not want to press charges. That was from 2014. So after Mackenzie's death, you kind of start having this trail of other instances that start coming out.
What do we know about the relationship between Mackenzie and the defendant here? They were communicating in the days leading up to her disappearance and death.
Yeah, so what we know from documents that have come out through, search warrants and the probable cause statement and things like that, is that it seems, according to what Ajayi has also told police, that they may have met on a website called Seeking Arrangement. That website claims to cater to sugar daddy, sugar baby relationships. That is what Ajayi told police. We also know that they did get those records from each of their accounts after this was all unfolding, and then they were texting each other through an app called Text Me, and that was how they were able to kind of piece these two people together, because up until that point, without that cell phone data, they really had absolutely no idea, how these two would have known each other or what even happened to her.
And this is how they even zeroed in on the defendant, correct? Is that in his vehicle, I guess?
Absolutely. I mean, cell phone data really was huge in this case. They were able to look at her cell phone data, from there figure out that she'd been using this app to communicate with somebody else, and then kind of tracing it back. We know that his phone pinged to the park at the same time that she was picked up, and that was how they kind of also put him in that location. And then, of course, using the cell phone data to get to Logan Canyon, because Ajayi never cooperated with police when it came to that. He claimed that they texted each other after, meeting on seeking arrangement. One time he sent her a picture and that was it, but he claimed nothing after that. But it was that cell phone data that police, took his phone data and traced it back to that canyon, and that was how they discovered her body. So it was really instrumental in this entire thing.
Yeah, amazing, the information that these little phones have now. The community had to have been absolutely in shock. A young woman, first she's missing and then ends up dead and burned.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when this first happened, first of all, you hear, University of Utah student is missing, and police are kind of saying, well, she's an adult, she can do, adults can do what they want. But that was really cause for concern, and what really alerted people to this is that this isn't average, this isn't normal for her. And then, of course, as details started to unfold, and really that neighborhood where this happened, those neighbors were so impacted by this because they had smelled that fire. They knew Ajayi as a neighbor, and then to find out that this was all unfolding on their street. So really, those people, out of anybody, were, I mean, traumatized from this, because they look at this house every day now and they'll never see it the same. Just knowing the alleged horrific incidents that happened in this house. And then the community at large, I think, was pretty shocked, because you go from someone who's missing for days, you really don't know the outcome, you don't know the situation, then you start hearing these bits and pieces that come out, and it's just more horrific the more that you end up hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a horrific case. Lauren Steinbrecher, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. Let you get back to work. We appreciate it. This is a trial that is on our docket. Means we're watching it closely. When it does go to trial, we will be there. Right now, no trial date. There is a prelim set for October 28th. Whether they hold that or not, we'll have to wait and see, given the COVID situation in courthouses across the country. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll have more from day 3 of the Joel Guy Jr. double murder trial. Medical examiner on the stand today.